On January 20th, 2026, global markets didn't just stumble, they looked over a cliff. President Trump has officially triggered what many are calling a trade bazooka. And the target isn't China or Russia, it's Greenland. Imagine waking up on a Tuesday morning to find the Dow down over 800 points and gold hitting an all-time high of $4,765 an ounce. It's not a bank collapse, it's the Greenland gamble. This isn't just headlines, it's a massive rush into safe haven assets, while the stock market asks one terrifying question: what is actually happening to my retirement? If you have a brokerage account or a home in the suburbs, you need to understand the Greenland ultimatum before the February 1st deadline, because the rules of money just changed. Markets hate the unknown, and right now, the unknown is whether our oldest alliances can survive an Arctic real estate deal. Stocks are bleeding, and the word tariff is back in the spotlight. But this time, it's hitting our closest allies like the UK, France, and Germany. For those of us who remember when gas was under $1 and the cloud was just something that ruined a picnic, this volatility is particularly nerve-wracking. At this stage, you aren't looking for moonshots. You're looking for stability, access to your funds, and a predictable economy. The strategy here is simple. Start by reviewing your European exposure. Look specifically at names like LVMH, Mercedes-Benz, and Siemens. These aren't just overseas stocks. They are likely sitting inside the S&P 500 or your favorite international mutual fund, and they are currently in the crosshairs. If your portfolio is heavy in international luxury or EU-dependent tech, you might see more red than a holiday dinner with the in-laws. I'm the Asian girl, and today we're stripping away the jargon to look at the math, the minerals, and the market traps you need to avoid. We aren't just here to watch the world burn, we're here to make sure your fire insurance is paid up. On Saturday, January 17th, the administration issued an ultimatum. Denmark and 7 other European allies have until February 1st to agree to a change in control of Greenland, or a 10% tariff hits their exports. If a deal isn't reached by June, that tax jumps to a massive 25%. Why does this matter? Because money doesn't respond to good intentions, it responds to incentives. Let's look at that German-engineered car you've been eyeing for your retirement. A 10% tariff on a $60,000 Mercedes adds $6,000 instantly. But wait, if we hit June and no deal is signed, that tax jumps to 25%. Now you're paying $15,000 more just because of a dispute over Arctic mineral rights. It's not just the car, it's the parts. Your local mechanic is going to charge you 20% more for that replacement alternator because it came from a factory in Stuttgart. For our generation, this is invisible inflation. It doesn't show up in the headline CPI right away, but it shows up every time you swipe your card. The strategy for your wallet. Don't wait for the law to pass to adjust. Banks and algorithms recalibrate risk the moment the world looks unstable. Check your liquidity now. Ensure you have 3 to 6 months of cash in a money market fund so you aren't forced to sell stocks at a loss just because a diplomatic meeting went south. We are entering a phase where cash is king isn't just a slogan, it's a survival tactic. Greenland isn't just ice, it's a safe of 17 rare earth minerals, the vitamins of modern technology. Greenland holds the key to the machines that keep us alive. Neodymium and dysprosium are the backbone of MRI scanners and advanced pacemakers. Right now, if China decides to close the tap, our hospitals are in trouble. By taking a hard line on Greenland, the U.S. is essentially trying to buy the pharmacy so we aren't dependent on a rival for our health tech. Think of this like the purchase of Alaska in 1867. Back then, they called it Seward's Folly and Seward's Icebox. They laughed at the idea of paying 2 cents an acre for a frozen wasteland, until we found gold and oil. History is repeating itself. This isn't just a land grab, it's a move for the next 3 decades of American health and military security. If we don't secure this now, the cost of medical tech alone in your 70s and 80s could triple. We are talking about the Silicon Valley of the Arctic, the strategy for growth. While the long-term goal is mineral independence, the short-term result is a Sell America trade where investors dump U.S. stocks for gold and silver. If you've been around the block, you know your biggest risk isn't a 10% market dip. It's long-term currency devaluation. Consider physical gold or silver as insurance against a dollar that is being used as a diplomatic hammer. If the dollar is the weapon, gold is the bunker. Investors hate uncertainty. The second this Greenland gamble hit the wires, gold skyrocketed past $4,700 an ounce, and silver is touching $95. When the world's largest economy pressures its own allies, smart money moves into insurance assets. The strategy for safety. You've seen this movie before, in 2008 and 2020. In fact, many of us remember the late 70s, when the dollar was shaky and everything felt out of control. The script is always the same. When the dollar looks risky, gold looks like a genius. It might be time to stop listening to your nephew's crypto tips and start looking at the defensive sectors that actually make things, like utilities and consumer staples. Think of your portfolio like your knees. At this stage, you just want them to keep working without making a weird clicking sound. We need to focus on capital preservation. In a trade war, the winner isn't the person who makes 50% on a risky stock. The winner is the person who doesn't lose 30% of their life savings in a month. When the big tech names like Apple and Microsoft start feeling the pressure of global supply chain disruptions, the boring stocks suddenly look very attractive. We also have to address the eroding trust in the US dollar. Usually, in a crisis, money flows to the dollar. But here, the US is the one causing the crisis by pressuring allies like France and the UK. Investors are starting to ask, if the US can weaponize trade against friends over an island, what's next? This is causing a cascading sell-off. Imagine the global market as a neighborhood. If the biggest house on the block starts threatening the neighbors, everyone starts looking for a new place to park their car. The strategy for purchasing power. Your buying power is under attack from two sides: tariffs making goods more expensive and a dollar that's losing its global safe haven status. Look into Treasury inflation-protected securities, TIPS, to hedge against this local volatility. If the dollar drops even 5% against a basket of other currencies, your imported groceries, electronics, and travel costs all go up. We want to protect what we have, not gamble it on a geopolitical coin toss. The era of the unquestioned dollar is facing its toughest test yet, and you don't want to be the last person holding a bag of shrinking currency. Look at the 13-step playbook for these negotiations. Step 1 is the outrageous demand. Step 4 is the deadline. We are currently at Step 6, the market pressure phase. The administration wants the market to react because it puts pressure on Denmark to come to the table. They are using your 401k as a leverage point to get a deal done. The strategy for timing. Don't let a Truth Social post scare you into a 30-year mistake based on a 30-day news cycle. History shows that Step 13 usually involves a grand compromise. Think back to the trade deals of 2018 and 2019. There was fire, there was fury, and then there was a signature and a market rally. If you're planning a home renovation or downsizing in 2026, lock in your material costs now before the trade bazooka makes made-in-Europe steel and appliances a luxury you can't afford. Don't wait for the June deadline. The uncertainty alone will drive prices up by March. Negotiating from a position of panic always costs more than negotiating from a position of preparation. Keep your eye on February 1st. If the tariffs go into effect, expect a buy-the-dip opportunity for domestic U.S. manufacturing, but a rough ride for anything international. The strategy for execution. Protect your existing credit lines. Banks tighten up the moment the economy looks shaky. Diversify your liquidity. For those of you hesitant to move cash, understand the difference. A high-yield savings account is great, but a money market fund often gives you more immediate access to your capital if you need to jump on a deal. You want 3 to 6 months of cash in money market funds or short-term treasuries so you aren't forced to sell your stocks at a loss just to pay your bills. You wouldn't drive without a spare tire. Don't trade without a cash reserve. Check your utilization. If you have high balances, pay them down now while the banks are still playing nice. I want to warn you about something the banks won't mention: the fear algorithm. When the Dow drops 800 points, banks don't just look at their own losses, they look at yours. They use automated systems that can slash your credit limit overnight. Imagine having a $30,000 emergency line for home repairs and waking up to find it's been cut to $5,000 because market conditions have changed. This has happened before, and in 2026, with AI-driven banking, it will happen faster than ever. This is why I talk so much about liquidity. In this environment, your credit score is important, but your cash on hand is what keeps you independent when the trade bazooka starts firing. Don't let your financial freedom be collateral damage in a trade war. The Greenland acquisition might sound like a deal from the 1800s, but the consequences are 100% modern. Whether we buy it or just lease the mineral rights, the market will be a roller coaster until the ink is dry. This is about the long game, positioning America for the next century of tech dominance. but your job is to make sure you're still standing to see it. The strategy for the long haul. Stay informed, keep your credit utilization low, and don't let the headlines catch you off guard. I'm the Asian girl, bringing clarity to the decisions quietly shaping your money. Remember, we aren't just looking at an island of ice, we're looking at the blueprints for the next 30 years of global wealth. Whether the Greenland gamble ends in a deed or a deal, the shift in your tech stocks and hard assets has already begun. Don't get distracted by the political noise. Focus on the minerals. Knowledge is cheap, panic is expensive, and while the world argues over borders, the smart money is already moving north. Stay informed, stay ahead, and I'll see you in the next one. And seriously, drink some water. You've earned it. Click here to watch another video. YouTube picked it out for you based on what you like watching.